Hello everyone, welcome to today's video, which will be based on ANTEC FrigusAir 400 addressable RGB CPU tower cooler. Now, usually we get CPU tower coolers in variety of different number of heat pipes, different thickness of heatsink and stuff like that. But today we're going to actually talk about this cooler and compare it to an AIO just in this situation, because I'll be using this cooler in the same case, in the same configuration as I used everything in the DF800 Flux White, and that's actually a good way to compare it on the temperatures and to see how it actually performs. Now, right here, this is FrigusAir 400, which has an Intel LGA 1700 socket compatibility, and that's not all. Since it's addressable RGB, you might be considering, wait, I don't have a motherboard that supports addressable RGB or has an even addressable RGB header. Well, they got you covered, because right here we have an addressable RGB, somewhat a controller. So you connect one side to your SATA power from your power supply, and the other side you can basically, if you get an additional splitter, connect a couple of different devices right here. And you have a button here on top that is used for changing colors, modes, or whatever you wish. So this is a cool thing to have. Additionally to everything, of course you get thermal paste, but in this scenario, well, basically in all scenarios when we're talking about thermals, I use the original thermal paste just to get the exact temperatures that you'll get with a certain manufacturer, in this case ANTEC. So let's check it out. FrigusAir is actually really easy to mount on your PC. You just have to place the backplate on your Intel motherboard. For instance, since I'm using 12600K for this test and for, let's say, some sort of a tutorial how to mount it, then you have two standoff brackets with mounting screws, which need to be placed on the top side of the copper base plate. You have 4 screws, you attach those 4 screws to that plate, and this is what actually holds your CPU tower cooler to your motherboard, basically to the back plate. Now after that, you do need to remove the fan, and you do need to detach the cable for addressable RGB on the top of the passive heatsink. After attaching and tightening up diagonally and evenly all 4 screws on the passive heatsink, then you'll place your fan back. But before that, do connect the cable that gives addressable RGB to this top cover, and it will basically go behind your fan. It won't create any additional noise and anything similar to that, because the heatsink actually has some sort of a slight dent in, so that the cable can go nicely through it. That's basically it. Connect addressable RGB header to your motherboard or to this controller, and 4-pin PWM for the fan right on the motherboard for your CPU fan control. Additionally to everything, you get 2 additional brackets if you want to create a push-pull on your CPU tower cooler. So this will give you more cooling capacity for your CPU, well, basically for your cooler. Now, let's check out the build first. It actually blends in quite nicely. So what we have here is DF800 Flux White, which you have seen yesterday in my other review. We have 3 original Flux fans on front, 120mm. We have 1 non-RGB 120 at the rear, and FrigusAir 400 right here on the Intel Core 12600K. But the cool thing about everything is that the temperature is quite insane. So let me remind you what we had yesterday. Yesterday with Fantex Glacier 360 White, Glacier 1 360 White, on 12600K we got 55 degrees Celsius. So this will be quite interesting, because this one actually keeps 12600K at 63 degrees Celsius, and that's insane because we have only 8 degrees Celsius of difference, and basically that's quite incredible for such a cooler. Now when we're talking about some specifications, we have the product dimension 125 x 75 x 158, so the height of the cooler is 158, and I think most of the cases support that height. They go usually equal or above 160. You have PWM addressable RGB LED fan, which spins up from 800 to 1600 RPMs. The CFM is 77. We have noise going from 20 to 36 decibels, and the lifespan is 40,000 hours. Now, to mention the heatsink, we have 4 heat pipes, aluminum fins, 6 millimeters diameter of the heat pipes. It actually supports all Intel sockets, which includes 1700, and all AMD sockets, which I think since it supports AM4, it will support AM5 as well. And that's all when it comes to specifications. So it looks cool. You can adjust the addressable RGB, as you might have seen already in the video, which gives you a possibility to actually blend it in your build. I would say big thumbs up for ANTEC for creating quite nice actually CPU tower cooler, which is in the budget category. It will cool 12600K, so you don't have to go with I don't know, AIO or some maybe even custom loop, but there's no point in doing a custom loop on 12600K. As you can see in AIDA 64 Extreme Edition, it really does keep it cool and does the job quite well. So big thumbs up. I would suggest it as a PC Crazy Best Buy badge, one of the Best Buy badges for CPU tower coolers. And the links are in the description below. If you're really interested, you can check it out and buy it there. So thank you for watching today's video. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. It really keeps the channel grow. And hopefully I will see you in another one. Thanks. Bye bye.